Hello everyone. In this video you will be studying about the principles of inheritance and variation. I will be dealing with the first part of this chapter in this video. And in the previous classes you have learned about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants and in human beings. The sexual reproduction we have studied in detail. And the most fascinating property of living organisms is their ability to reproduce. So when they reproduce sexually, the offsprings produced are not identical, not copies of their parents, but they show some dissimilarities or some variations. So the sexual reproduction is increasing the number of individuals, but it creates the differences or the variations within the species. So heredity and variations, they go hand in hand in the sense heredity is the inheritance of the like qualities or characters from one generation to the next or the successive generation. Okay, so the heredity is actually the resemblance among individuals related by the same descent. Inheritance is the process by which the characters are passed on from the parents to the progeny. So inheritance is the basis of heredity. Then from early 8000 to 1000 BC, before Christ years also, humans had the idea that the cause of variations was due to sexual reproduction. So they conducted various studies, means they observed the surroundings and they found that there is some connection. So the variations are naturally present in the wild plants and animals, and then they have understood that some things are there which is causing these variations in among the groups of similar organisms, plants or animals. And it was during the middle of the 19th century that some studies were made in the understanding of inheritance. So Gregor John Mendel was a biologist but an Australian monk who is considered as the father of genetics. So Mendel was born on July 22nd in 1822, and then he joined a monastery and he wanted to live as a monk. From the monastery he was sent to the University of Vienna for studying science as well as maths. And he was very interested in plant breeding, and he was fascinated by the regular and the predictable results he obtained. Then he conducted further studies on the plants, especially the garden pea plants he selected for his studies. And because these were easily available with him in the garden, so he could conduct various experiments on the garden peas. And Mendel selected 7 distinct traits or characteristics from a group of varieties of garden peas. The species he chose was Pisum sativum, that was the garden pea selected. And he did experiments for 7 years, and then he presented his work. And since he was a student of science as well as mathematics, he could make some statistical analysis also of what data he could collect from his experiments. Then Mendel carried out his work on garden pea, Pisum sativum, because it has got various characteristics which suited his kind of experiments. And there were a number of varieties of garden peas available with distinct characteristics, like tall and dwarf plants, yellow and green seeds. So similar characteristics which are very distinctly seen in the plants. Then the flower of the pea plant is so that the stamens and the pistils are completely enclosed by the petals, so self-pollination is possible. Okay, so flowers were self-pollinated, so anthers burst within the bud, so the stigma which receives the pollen grains. Then these plants, these flowers could be easily pollinated. So cross pollination was easy with the garden pea plants, and it was very easy to culture also these garden pea plants. Okay, and he could collect the cross breeding progenies also, and he could do the studies within a short period of time, because the pea plants had a short growth period. So these 7 basic characteristics or 7 traits that Mendel studied, and all the experiments which the Mendel did were very carefully planned, and he studied only one trait at a time, and whatever studies he did, he took utmost care to prevent the contamination of pollen grains. Then he kept very accurate records and analyzed them statistically, and it was the first time that statistical analysis and mathematical logics were applied to the problems in biology. What are these statistical analysis, mathematical logic? Now in this COVID season, you can see ICMR and the health authorities are predicting that in July there will be we will reach peak with the COVID cases. So this is a statistical study based on the data we have collected from all these many months and days. So accordingly they make the statistical prediction that the number would be doubled or tripled by the end of July. This study is based on this kind of statistical analysis of the data collected. So Mendel also could do such similar statistical analysis and mathematical logics to whatever data he had collected, and then he could make certain general rules of inheritance, okay, the laws. And his experiments he conducted, he had a large number of plants to do the experiments. So the sampling size was much large for him. So because of these studies, Mendel gave 3 laws or principles of inheritance. Okay, 3 laws of inheritance. The first law is the law of dominance, then the law of segregation. So this law of dominance, law of segregation, and the third law, law of independent assortment. The first 2 laws was the law of dominance, law of segregation. These are concerned with the inheritance of a single gene, inheritance of one gene. And the law of independent assortment is concerned with the inheritance of 2 genes. Now, according to Mendel, various characters or the traits are controlled by factors. He was referring it as factors, but now we know these factors are equal to the genes. And he said the factors occur in pairs, and we know that the genes occur in pairs. Okay, and the factors contain information about the form of the trait, form of the character. and the factors may be similar or dissimilar also, and each gamete, the male and the female gamete, possess only one of the factor. Okay, we know that gametes are having only haploid number of chromosomes, so they also have only one dose of the gene. And there is a random fusion of male and female gamete, thereby the zygote is formed. And paired condition of factors is restored in the zygote. So the offspring receives one factor from one parent, one factor from the mother and the other factor from the father. Alright, so that is about the Mendel's experiment and the certain characteristics or findings he has done. By Mendel selected the pea plants. All those details can be seen in these slides. Now we will see the inheritance of one gene. So this during his studies he found that true breeds form the parent generation. That means he conducted the growing of the pea plants for several generations. So he conducted his experiments in three different stages or steps. The first step was the selection of the true breeding or the pure breeding forms of all the characteristics or all the traits he studied. So for that he used true breeding forms of the parent generation. Parent generation is represented by the pea generation, and Mendel allowed pea plants to self-pollinate for several generations. Okay, for several generations the pea plants were allowed to self-pollinate, and he selected the produce of the same trait generation after generation. So for example, the seeds which are collected from tall plants always produced tall plants, then you can say it is pure breed. Okay, so the plants with the green seeds always produced green seeds only, then you can say it is a pure breed. Then in the second step he used hybridization or cross-polling of the true breeding plants with contrasting traits. Okay, for second step is hybridization or the cross-pollination. Now he cross-pollinated tall plants and the dwarf plants. So how can he do it? So he transferred the pollen grains from the tall plants to the pistil of the dwarf plants. Artificially he did the pollination. Okay, so pollen grains from the tall plants are dusted on the pistil of the dwarf plants, and when the seeds matured he germinated them and observed the plants growth, and he found that all the seeds gave rise to tall plants. Okay, so the next generation he created were all tall plants. So cross was between a tall plant and a dwarf plant, but the next generation contained only tall plants. So the resultant hybrid offspring were named as the first generation, first filial generation, or the F1 generation. Alright. Then he conducted another cross which is called as reciprocal cross. Here he carried out the experiments by depositing pollen grains from dwarf plants to the tall plant. See, it's actually just opposite of the first hybridization cross. There he cross-pollinated tall plants and dwarf plants. That means the pollen grains from the tall plants are dusted on the dwarf plants. Here the pollen grains from the dwarf plants are dusted on the stigma of the tall plants, just opposite test, which is called as the reciprocal cross. So you got the reverse result. So the result of the reciprocal process were also the same. All the seeds gave rise to the tall plants. So similarly, Mendel had conducted several processes to study various characteristics or various traits, and he found that the F1 generation always resembled either one of the parents. Okay, so only one of the characteristics or one of the traits studied was shown in the F1 generation, not the two characteristics. Got it? Tall plants were crossed with dwarf plants, but he could get only tall plants in the next generation. Whether it is dwarf plants female part is used or the tall plants female part is used, the cross is this way or that way. Then also he was getting only the F1 generation with tall plants. Then in his third step, he conducted self-pollination of the F1 plants. Alright, self-pollination of the F1 plants. He allowed the hybrid plants of the F1 generation to self-pollinate, and the resultant seeds were grown, and he got the second F2 generation or second filial generation. In the F2 generation, he found that some plants are tall and some were dwarf. So only one character was found in the F1 generation, but in F2 generation he could find both the characters existing. But he counted the number of plants and he found the ratio was 3:1 tall and dwarf. 3:1 ratio. He found the tall and the dwarf plants. And successive generations also he studied. F3 and F4 generations were also made by self-pollination, and he counted and he recorded his numbers and analyzed the numbers. Okay, and he conducted the tests with all the other traits also. That means the pairs of characters, the height of the plant, then flower color, flower position, the pod shape, pod color, seed shape, seed color, all these were the characters he studied. So he conducted similar kind of test, all the three steps conducted with all the other groups of characteristics or the traits, and he found the similar kind of data for other groups of tests he conducted. So he found the F1 generation resembled only one of the parents, and same was true of the reciprocal process, and then the form of trait which was expressed in the F1 generation was called as the dominant trait or the dominant character, and the other character or the other trait which was not expressed in the F1 generation, which got expressed in the F2 generation. So that character or that trait is called as the recessive trait. So you have the dominant and the recessive traits or characters. Okay, now in the F2 generation, both the parental forms were there, both the tall and dwarf ones were there in the ratio 3:1, and the ratio of the dominant form to recessive form was always 3:1. So then in the F2 generation allowed to produce the F3 generation by self-pollination. There also you could find the similar kind of ratio. So thereby he coined the first law of dominance. So the law of dominance states that in the F1 generation the character which is up here is the dominant character. Okay. Now, before that, he has in his studies he had used certain terms like homozygous allelic pair and heterozygous allelic pair. So, when homozygous and heterozygous, how you represent the characteristics. So, to represent the characteristics, he used, for example, tall plants, he used capital T. Now, to represent the allelic traits, we used the symbol T for tall and capital T for tall and small t for dwarf. So, pair of alleles for the height of the plant, tall plants, is represented by capital T and capital T, and the dwarf plant is represented by small t and small t. These are homozygous forms. Similar kind of allelic pairs are there, similar kind of alleles are there in the pair. Alright, so the tall plants represented by capital T and capital T, and the dwarf plants represented by small t and small t. Similar way other characters also can be represented. For example, round seed, capital R can be the allele for round seed, and the smooth seed you can use small r. So, that way you can coin the alleles. And true breeding tall or dwarf plant, identical ones, they are homozygous alleles. So, capital T for the tall and small t for the dwarf ones. But in the F1 generation and F2 generations, where the hybrids are formed, there you would find the capital T and small t together in the F1 generation. Okay. So, then capital T and small t together, we call it as a heterozygous condition. Okay, dissimilar factors are there which are represented by one capital and the other small letter. So, it is the heterozygous condition, heterozygous allele. So, here it is represented, the homozygous dominant one is crossed with the homozygous recessive one. Those are the parental forms, and which is crossed, and the cross we got is capital T and capital T, and all of them appeared tall, but their allelic pairs are heterozygous, capital T and small t, but they appeared tall. So, that means here the dominant character is capital T. What represents capital T is tall plant. So, that is the dominant character. And self-pollination of the F1 generation, capital T and small t, will give you the F2 generation. How the cross is done, a pair of alleles are there, two characters, capital T and small t. So, when the gametes are produced, they will get only haploid number of chromosomes. So, one of the factor will go to one gamete and the other factor will go to the other gamete. Similar with the female also. So, male and female gametes are shown one side, and the row it is male and the column it is female. That way you can write, and the combination is made capital T and capital T together. It becomes capital T, and that way the cross is done. And the phenotypic ratio, the appearance of the individual plants, external appearance. So, in this F2 generation, 3 of them appeared tall. So, the phenotypic ratio is 3:1. And what is the genetic constitution of it? That we know that it is capital T, small t also becomes the tall. So, 3 of them are tall, but one is homozygous tall, 2 are heterozygous tall, and the other one is homozygous dwarf. That is why the genotypic ratio given is 1:2:1. Okay. So, that is the second law. law of segregation. So here the allelic pairs separate or segregate during the gamete formation, and the paired condition is restored by the fusion of gametes during fertilization. This happens in the sexual reproduction. So Mendel's law of segregation is based on these studies and his conclusions. Each character is produced by two factors. Alright, and the factors may be similar or dissimilar. Similar means homozygous, dissimilar means heterozygous. And each true breeding form possesses two similar factors, and each hybrid form has two dissimilar factors. Each gamete, that is male gamete or female gamete, possesses only one factor of the pair, and a gamete is therefore pure for its trait. That means it contains only one factor. And in fertilization or during fertilization, there is a random fusion takes place. So the offspring formed receives one factor from each parent, and the factors do not blend or mix in the F1 generation, but they retain their individuality. So a recessive factor is not altered or not changed by the presence of the dominant factor. But the thing is, only the dominant character will be shown, will be seen. The other character remains hidden, so we call it as a recessive character. Now the hybrids of the heterozygotes. The hybrids of the heterozygotes of the F1 generation have two contrasting characters or alleles of a dominant and a recessive type. Here you can see capital T and small t in the F1 generation. These factors, they remain together for a long time, but they do not contaminate or mix with each other. So they separate or segregate at the time of gamete formation, so that the gametes carry only one factor, either dominant or recessive one. So there you can see the F2 generation gametes, capital T, small t, capital T and small t, how they are formed. So those means only one factor is carried to one gamete. So the factor may be either a dominant one or a recessive one. Here it is capital T or the recessive small t. Now the Mendel's ratio of 3:1 in the F2 generation is actually having a hidden ratio of 1:2:1, because you can see here in this, the F2 generation, 3 of them are tall appearing, but their genetic constitution is capital T. Capital T is expressed as tall, capital T and small t are also expressed as tall. So one of them is homozygous for tallness and the other two are heterozygous for tallness, heterozygous for tallness, that is capital T and small t, and the other one is small t is dwarf, which is the recessive character. So in the F2 generation he got 1:2:1 ratio, that is actually the genotypic ratio or the genetic factors are that way. Alright, now what is the phenotype? That is actually the observable expression of an organism. Capital T, small t are the two genotypes, but they are expressed as the tall plants. So tall plants is the phenotype. Okay. Now genotype is the genetic expression of the organism. Genotype here is capital T is one from heterozygous form, capital T is homozygous form. Both will show you as tall plants. So that is the genotype, actual genetic expression.